In this lesson, we'll build the face mask for the football helmet. So these tubes are what we want to create here, which are these kind of intersecting pieces on the front to protect the face. So the first thing I want to do is get this kind of piece right on the top. And to do this, we can actually extract this from the existing edges. So I'm going to go to an edge selection. And I've got a selection here that kind of it goes over the top of the helmet and comes down to the point where that starts to curve back forward. And with these edges selected, okay, we're going to go to Edges, Create Shape from Selection. Okay, it's going to ask us for a name for the shape. That's fine. And we want it to be a smooth shape, so I'll say OK to that. It's going to now create a new spline, which we can see here in the viewport. If we go ahead and zoom in on that, you can see that that spline is nice and smooth, but it matches up fairly well with what we've got here on our edges. So we just need to go in and just kind of scale this up a little bit. Get that out from the helmet. Now we need to go to the side view with this spline selected. And let's go to a vertex selection and select these bottom vertices. And I just want to move those back kind of right in here to match up with the shape of this. And we can kind of tweak this shape if we want to get it, really exact if we want to do that. But it doesn't have to be super exact here. All right. So now that we have that, we now need to create this sort of piece, and that's going to be pretty much a kind of a half circle. So we can go ahead and start by going to Create, Splines, and let's create a circle, and let's just do it in here in the top view. So I'll just kind of pull this out till it's kind of the right width there. And I don't want it to be kind of a perfect circle. I want to kind of bring this down a little bit. Okay, and then we can kind of move it down roughly into position here. All right, and we don't need the back of this, so what we can do is go ahead and turn this into an editable spline. Okay, and now if we access our vertices, you can see we don't have very many vertices here, or segments to speak of. So what we can do is go ahead and just grab those back segments. Just grab both of those. We don't need those. Get rid of those. I'd like to have a little bit more, a few more points in here along our spline. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the segments here. And we want to go down to Divide, right down here. And let's maybe add 4 or so. That's probably pretty good. Okay. We can again go ahead and just kind of shape this a little bit more so that it matches up with where we've got these points. Okay. Let's go ahead and scale it just a little bit. All right. Now from the side view, I'm going to actually duplicate this. So I'm going to go ahead and just hold down Shift and just pull this down, because I'm going to reuse this, make a copy of that, and I'll just leave that there. Okay. Well, with this selected, I'm going to go ahead and rotate this to match up with the angle that we've got here. Let's go ahead and drop that in, and then I'll take these vertices here and just kind of move those back. Kind of right in there. Okay? If you want to add some more in there, you can go ahead and just divide that. This time I'll just divide it maybe 2. Let's actually just do 1 right in there. Okay? Now we want to attach these splines together. So let's go to Attach, and I'll select this other spline. And now both of these are as part of the same spline, so we can work with these together. Okay, so now what we want to do is combine these splines into one piece. So we'll go ahead and go to a vertex selection, and let's go ahead and turn off Attach, select these 2 vertices, and let's go ahead and weld those together. So I'll just weld those, and then we'll come in and also weld these over here on this side. All right. Now if we want this to be kind of nice and curved, we can take this point, right click, and we can just make that smooth. Same thing over here on this side. Change that to a smooth point. And then we've got one spline kind of defines this front piece. Now this bottom piece, we've already added that sort of resolution to. We now need to go ahead and start to shape this a little bit more. So this one's going to be a little bit more curved. So I'm going to start by rotating this around. Okay, and just move it out a little bit. It's also going to be a bit bigger because you can see that it actually overlaps the one that we just created. So we probably want to just scale this out just a little bit. Okay, and now let's take these vertices on the end and let's go ahead and just pull those straight up. Okay, and we'll just kind of match those up with the end that we've got here. I'm going to just rotate those. All right, and then we can just do a little bit of shaping. So start to bring in some of these points, and maybe this one's at the corner here, and we'll go ahead and rotate this. Same thing here. We can kind of just come in and start to modify this shape just a little bit so that it matches up a little bit better with our artwork and what we're trying to do here. Okay, and you want it to be just on the outside of this, although it looks like it's a little bit too wide. So we can come in and just kind of narrow this up a little bit. Now we want to start to see the actual geometry that's going to be going along this. I'm going to go ahead and just, before we do that, just add a couple of points in there, just using divide again. Let's do maybe 3. All right, and then we can maybe take these, and let's do the same thing here, and maybe take this vertex and make it a smooth, and then we'll have to just move this just a little bit to tweak that shape. All right, so we'll take this and just kind of move this down and get kind of our nice curve shape in there. Okay, but once we have this the way that we want it, we now need to start to add some thickness, and this is going to be something that you're probably familiar with if you've used Max, something that I really like to take advantage of, and that is the fact that we can just use these splines and just right up here, let's go ahead all the way up to rendering. All you have to do is turn on these little check boxes and you get some geometry there. Now this is a separate spline, so we can go ahead and choose to make radial or rectangular. Okay, we can change the number of sides. We can change the thickness. So let's go ahead and in the side view look at that thickness. Let's say that's about right. We've got about 5 there. Okay, and the great thing is you can always just go back in and something's not right, you just kind of move it over. Okay, it's all very, very flexible. Just kind of pull that out a little bit. Okay, we want to do the same thing for this spline here. So go ahead and turn that on. Change our thickness to 5. Okay, and we want it to intersect a little bit, which it looks like it is. And now we just need to add the struts that go up here. So again, we can go from our side view if we want to. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and go to create a new spline, create a line, and we'll just create a new line. You can see with this turned on, you can actually see that tube as you draw it out, which is kind of nice. Okay, we'll go into that line, grab that bottom point, and just pull that into intersect there. Now you can see that this is right in the middle, which is not what we want. We kind of want it off to the side here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and just move this off to the side. And if it's not looking like, if you can see, if you're having trouble getting it to kind of go inside of that piece, it's a little bit too thick because it's the same size as that. So we want to go ahead and take this down to maybe 4.8, maybe 4.5 or so. And that'll help you kind of be able to push that in. You may even need to go a little bit lower than that, looks like. Maybe take that down to 4 or so. Okay, you can angle that and kind of copy that over to the other side. Take that spline, okay, and move it over. Or you can mirror that over either way. All right, so once we have the geometry for the face mask, built out. The next thing we want to do is to go ahead and do some of the connectors and snaps. So some of the pieces that are attaching the face mask to the actual helmet, and also some of the snaps that we're going to be able to attach the chin strap to. So let's go ahead and start to do that in the next lesson.